Well, folks, it's the weekend, and that can only mean one thing. Time for the golf cart. So last week, we talked about something to do to take care of the axle wrap, and I've got a box from Rough Stuff over there. Yep. So, if you hadn't guessed already, we're going to be building traction bars for the golf cart. And basically, what these are going to do is they're going to be a little bit different than conventional truck traction bars, which typically mount below the axle. I suppose we could go below the axle, but what we're going to do instead is go on top of the axle, which, if we were dealing with more power, would cause problems, but because we're not, it should be okay. So basically what these are going to consist of, flipping these around here, is we're going to have these tabs that weld to the axle, and then these tabs that'll weld to the frame. In the case of the frame side ones, we'll cut these off so that they're flat on the bottom. And then we're going to have a piece of DOM tube running between here, which will get welded up, and then we'll basically, what that'll do is when the rear end tries to torque up, it won't let it. So that'll take care of the issue that we have right now, which is the rear end has quite a bit of play in it. But the good thing is that it won't make the rear end solid, meaning that it won't cause breakage, at least initially. So these are from Rough Stuff. Thanks, Rough Stuff, although I did pay for them. Nice. What you got there?
I don't know.
That's a weird looking drill press. It's like sideways or something.
We got vertical drill press.
This
one just fell over.
Oh, and then it stayed like that?
Yeah. It's kind of sturdy though, surprisingly. I think I'll keep it like this.
I think we should, you guys should check out Talbot Industries for videos on this weird horizontal drill press. Well, the first piece of pipe we found ain't gonna work because it's too big of an ID. So we went over to Talbot Industries West and we got some 1-inch DOM, which, ironically, we originally got, or I'm sorry, it's 1-inch ID quarter wall, so 1.5 OD if you're keeping score at home. And ironically, these Heims and this tube was originally for use on Kyle's old silver dually and the old 6.5, but we decided that these Heims are too small for that application, but they're just right for this. So now we're going to go whip up some traction bars for old number 69. Well, they might be small traction bars, but they are mighty traction bars. In all reality, these things would probably hold 300 or 400 horse, no problem. So we should just be about all right on the cart, maybe pushing it a little bit. So shitty TIG welds aside, we got them on. And now I'm starting to prep the axle and the frame. Our measurement on center, I had it written down, I think it's 16.5 or something like that. So we're basically gonna lay them out, tack them in with the MIG, and fucking ship it. So we're getting there. Tiny traction bars. Well, as you can see, we sent it. So we had the cart out today for probably about an hour altogether. And honestly, it performed really well. It kept up with another comparable gas golf cart. Speed-wise, it was able to go pretty much everywhere we needed it to. So that was really cool. We didn't get a whole lot done this weekend just because other things came up. We did get the traction bars built and installed. As you can see on this one, the jam nuts backed off. We just kind of like half-ass tightened them, but we're still getting some axle wrap. We can throw it in gear here. Yeah. So we got to figure out where that's coming from. Looks like we got a little fuel leak around the pickup tube. Probably just keep an eye on that. I doubt we're really going to do anything about it. But looking ahead to this coming week and next weekend, we're going to redesign this jack shaft system to something that is a little cleaner looking, and one that hopefully allows us to change the belt without taking everything apart. And also so right now there's 3 axes. There's the crank, the jack shaft, and the rear end. And hopefully if we combine the engine and the jack shaft into one unit, that'll eliminate any possibility of alignment issues, at least from the engine to the jack shaft. We got to get the alternator on it because the battery went dead and it sucks to jump the thing every time. Also, this weekend we were hoping to put the turbo back on it. That didn't happen, so we're going to revisit that next weekend. So we got our work cut out for us. But we had a pretty good send. The diff is black from all the coal we were rolling. Thing smokes pretty good. So not a great weekend, but definitely not a bad weekend either. So we've reached the part of the video where I apologize for not getting this out on time. The first and probably only time that I ever go on YouTube to make a post alerting you about a new video and I don't come through. Figure that out. Anyway, so I think I showed this in a previous clip. The axle still wraps with the traction bars. I think it's the fact that the mounts are on top of the axle. Kyle did some searching online and kind of confirmed that. So as you can see, we got a piece of square tube, and basically this is just a test. I got it tacked on the axle, tacked on the frame, roughly where it would be if that was a traction bar. And we're gonna let it down and see if it still rocks with the new geometry. And we're gonna relocate the traction bars to the bottom of the axle in hopes that that prevents the wrapping. So we got the traction bars relocated to the rear, or the bottom I should say, on the axle. And Kyle's just going ahead and tightening up the jam nuts on them now. It definitely reduced the amount of wrap in the axle, but it didn't totally eliminate it. So we're just going to kind of table this for the time being because I don't really think it's an issue. I think the long-term plan is we're going to take the axle out and we'll make actual perches for it, because right now the leaf springs don't really secure the axle the way they do in a normal automotive application. So we're going to move next on to getting the turbo back on this thing and working on an exhaust for it. We got the turbo on, and previously, a couple videos ago when I made these flanges, I cut out a piece to be used for the rear. Never did anything with it until now, and Kyle was able to transform it into this really nice exhaust housing flange, and we were able to put the new to us drill press into use. So I have some nice pieces of exhaust pipe which I forgot in the Honda because I took the truck tonight. So I'm working on rigging up the muffler system, and basically we're going to have this little guy coming off the back of the turbo. The muffler is going to kick out that way towards the passenger side leaf spring, and then the exhaust will go down and out. So hopefully this thing will be ready for ascend this weekend, little by little. So we're making more progress on the turbo final installation. Got the exhaust in, so this is the old muffler off of the Silver tractor. So this just kind of goes like, and then it goes. So we get a pretty nice little axle dump type situation. And we also have the ability to just go like, cut it back and then go out with a tip or something of that nature. So now we're gonna run out and grab stuff to finish plumbing the feed as well as the oil drain for the turbo. Well, this is a pretty disappointing Saturday night update. We got the turbo on, we got the exhaust done-ish, got the oil supply hooked up. We went to O'Reilly's and we got this hose, which we then cut up, but it had some good bends in it and it was like 14 bucks. So we have the start of the fitting, or start of the plumbing of the intake, I should say. I had this piece made, and it turns out that we need it made a little differently with a thinner base because reasons. So I gotta have that made, and then we've got to get stuff to finish plumbing the oil drain line, and then we'll be good to go. So it's Sunday night, and this is our weekend deadline to drive this thing with the turbo. You can see we got the intake side plumbed using the hose and a couple pieces of pipe, and Kyle's just working on some fitment issues that we're having, clearing the drain fitting, which is kind of down there, you can see a little bit. So we're just in the final stages of getting this thing ready to go for a test strip with the turbo. Got the oil drain plumbed in with an unexpected 90 that we'll have to figure out later down the road. But we are just moments away from our inaugural test fire with the full exhaust and the turbo installed. Take one.